In a bustling city where dreams and reality often intertwine in complex ways, Maya Josephine once believed that family was the safest haven, but when her life is thrown into chaos by secrets and betrayal, she realizes that those she loves most can also hurt her the deepest. When Emma, her pampered younger sister, decides to host an extravagant wedding in Maya's home without permission, everything begins to spiral out of control. The walls that Maya built with sweat and tears now become a battleground where dreams and hopes are threatened by thoughtless decisions. Maya, an interior designer with a passion for creating spaces that reflect her true self, must now face a fight not only to protect her home, but also to rediscover who she is. Will she find the strength to stand up against the pressures from her family, or will she continue to live in the shadows of those around her? The story begins here, where secrets are unveiled, relationships are tested, and a journey of self-discovery unfolds amidst the wreckage. Join Maya as she decides to reclaim not just her home, but also what has been lost: love, respect, and a true sense of family. Maya sat at her sleek, modern desk, surrounded by swatches of fabric and design magazines, her mind racing with ideas for her latest interior design project. At 32, she had built a successful career as an independent interior designer, transforming spaces into stunning works of art. Her cozy apartment in the heart of the city was her sanctuary, a place where she could escape the chaos of the outside world and focus on her work. But today, that sanctuary was about to be disrupted. The doorbell rang insistently, pulling Maya from her creative thoughts. She sighed, knowing exactly who it was. It was her younger sister, Emma, 28, a well-known event planner who had a knack for turning even the simplest situations into dramatic crises. Maya opened the door to find Emma standing there, her eyes wide and frantic, clutching her phone like a lifeline. "Maya, I need your help," Emma exclaimed, her voice trembling. "The venue for my wedding just canceled on me and I don't know what to do. My wedding is in 2 weeks. Maya's heart sank. She had seen this coming. Emma had always been a bit of a whirlwind, and her tendency to leave things to the last minute was legendary. "What happened?" Maya asked, already dreading the answer. "They double-booked, can you believe it?" Emma collapsed onto Maya's pristine sofa, her designer handbag spilling onto the floor. "Mom and Dad are freaking out. We've already sent out invitations." Maya sat across from her sister, trying to process the chaos. "But there must be other venues available. It's not the end of the world." Emma shook her head, her mascara running down her cheeks. "Everything decent is booked solid. But then I had this amazing idea. Your apartment is perfect, the space is gorgeous, and the backyard would be amazing for the ceremony." Maya's stomach dropped. "My apartment? Emma, I don't think that's a good idea." "Oh, come on. Think of all the money we'd save," Emma pleaded, her eyes sparkling with desperation. Just then, Maya's phone buzzed. It was a text from their mother. "Maya, your sister needs your help. Don't let her down." The familiar weight of family expectations settled on her shoulders. "Fine," Maya relented, feeling the pressure mount. "But we need to set some ground rules." Emma squealed in delight, launching herself at Maya for a hug. "You're the best. Oh, and one tiny detail. I'll need to stay here until the wedding to oversee everything." Maya pulled back, her heart racing. "What? No, absolutely not." "But Mia, I can't coordinate everything from across town. Plus, my lease is up next month. It just makes sense," Emma argued, her voice rising. Maya felt her resolve crumbling. 3 months, she said firmly. "The wedding is in 2 weeks. That's plenty of time." "Thank you. You won't regret it," Emma beamed, already pulling out her phone to text her friends the good news. As Maya watched her sister excitedly plan the wedding in her living room, she had no idea just how prophetic her plea for help would become. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of a whirlwind that would turn her life upside down. 2 weeks into Emma's stay, Maya returned home after a long day of meetings, only to find her once cozy apartment transformed into a chaotic wedding command center. Fabric swatches covered her coffee table, and Pinterest boards were taped to the walls. Emma sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by bridal magazines, her phone buzzing incessantly. "Maya, perfect timing," Emma exclaimed, waving a color palette in her face. "Which do you prefer, Blush Dream or Rose Whisper?" Maya squinted at the swatches, both of which looked identical to her. "They're both pink, Emma." "You're hopeless." Emma tossed the swatches aside, clearly frustrated. "Mom has a much better eye for these things. She's coming over in 10 minutes, by the way." "Of course she is," Maya muttered under her breath. Their mother had been a constant presence since Emma moved in, hovering over every detail of the wedding planning. The doorbell rang, and their mother burst in without waiting for an invitation. "Girls, I brought dinner," she announced, holding up takeout bags from an expensive restaurant. "Mom, you're amazing," Emma gushed, jumping up to help with the bags. "What did you get for Maya?" "I wasn't sure what you'd want, so I just got you a salad," their mother said, glancing at Maya. Maya's heart sank as she opened the container to find it filled with pine nuts, her lifelong allergy. "Thanks, Mom," she said dryly, heading to the kitchen to make herself a sandwich. "Don't you want to help us with the planning?" their mother called after her. "This is your sister's special day." Maya returned to find Emma and their mother huddled over a guest list, exchanging glances that made her stomach clench. "When are we discussing the wedding party details?" Maya asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Emma twisted her hair nervously, a telltale sign that she was about to say something she knew would upset Maya. "Well, since it's your house, you'll be so busy making sure everything runs smoothly. Plus, Rachel has always dreamed of being my maid of honor." "I'm your sister," Maya protested, her voice flat. "Josephine, don't start," their mother interjected sharply. "Your sister needs everyone focused on making her day perfect. Maya felt a wave of frustration wash over her. "I don't understand at all," she snapped, but before she could say more, Emma's phone chimed again. "The florist is here," Emma squealed, jumping up to greet them. Maya watched in disbelief as her living room filled with buckets of flowers and a team of wedding planners. Rachel, the maid of honor, gave Maya a dismissive once-over before turning to Emma. "This house has potential, but that kitchen wallpaper has to go." "I know, right?" Emma agreed, turning to Maya. "We're thinking of having it stripped tomorrow." "Absolutely not," Maya shouted, her patience wearing thin. "This is still my house." "Don't be difficult," their mother scolded. "We're trying to help you improve things." Maya retreated to her room, pulling out her phone to text her best friend, Lucas. "They're planning to renovate my house without asking. Send wine." His response was immediate. "On my way. Also bringing my lawyer friend, Amara. You might need her." Just as she hit send, a loud crash echoed from the living room. "Oops," Emma's voice carried up the stairs. "Maya won't mind that vase. It was kind of dated anyway." Maya's heart dropped as she rushed downstairs to find the shattered remains of her grandmother's last gift to her before she passed away. Emma was already directing one of the planners to clean it up, not even looking apologetic. "Oh, good, you're back," their mother beamed. "We've made executive decisions about the backyard. That herb garden of yours needs to go to make room for the dance floor." "You can't just take over my house like this," Maya exclaimed, feeling the weight of betrayal. "It's just for a week," Emma pouted. "Why do you always have to make everything so difficult?" Maya's phone buzzed again. It was Lucas. "Amara and I are 5 minutes away. Hold your ground." Looking at her sister and mother's expectant faces, Maya realized this was just the beginning. They weren't going to stop until they had taken everything from her, and somehow she would still be the villain in their story. The next morning, Maya stood in her driveway at 7 a.m., staring at her own front door in disbelief. She jiggled her key in the lock, but it wouldn't turn. Panic set in as she tried again, harder this time, but the lock remained stubbornly unyielding. "Emma!" she shouted, her voice echoing in the quiet morning air. "Let me in!" Emma's voice came through the Ring doorbell camera, dripping with false sweetness. "We need you to give us some space while we finish the wedding preparations." "Are you kidding me? Let me in. This is my house," Maya yelled, her heart racing. Their mother's face appeared in the doorway window, her expression stern. "Josephine, after your behavior last night, we decided this would be best for everyone. You're too negative about the wedding plans." "Negative? You mean when I objected to you ripping out my garden without permission?" Maya shot back, her frustration boiling over. "See, she's being hysterical again," their mother said, turning to someone inside the house. Maya pulled out her phone and called their father. He answered on the fourth ring, sounding tired. "Princess, what's going on?" "Dad, they've locked me out of my own house," Maya exclaimed, her voice rising in desperation. "Your mother thinks it's best if you take a little break, just until the wedding. You can stay at our place," he replied, his tone resigned. "I'm not staying anywhere. This is my house. I have a mortgage," Maya insisted, her voice shaking with anger. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be," he sighed. "You know how important this is to your sister." Maya ended the call, feeling defeated. She dialed Lucas again. "They did what?" he exploded when she told him. "Stay there. I'm calling Amara." 20 minutes later, Lucas's car pulled up with Amara in the passenger seat. She stepped out, looking every bit the power lawyer in her crisp suit. "Tell me exactly what happened," she said, pulling out a notepad. Maya explained everything while Emma watched through the window, occasionally making faces at them. "Do you have a rental agreement with your sister?" Amara asked, raising an eyebrow. "Rental agreement? She just moved in." "There's nothing formal," Maya replied, feeling a sense of dread. Mora's eyes lit up. "No formal agreement, and she's changed the locks without notice? That's actually better for us." Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Stop making a scene. The wedding planner is coming to discuss the demolition of the garden wall." Maya showed Amara the text, her heart racing. "They're planning construction on my property now?" Amara nodded, her expression serious. "This gets better by the minute. We need to document everything." Suddenly, the front door swung open and Rachel, the maid of honor, strutted out with a stack of Maya's mail. "These were cluttering up the entryway," she said, dumping the envelopes at Maya's feet. "Oh, and Jill says you can collect your clothes later. We needed your closet space for the wedding dresses." Maya felt a surge of anger. "You're not taking anything from me," she shouted. Amara picked up the scattered mail, her eyebrows shooting up as she examined one envelope. "This is from the city planning office," she said, opening it. A slow smile spread across her face. "Well, well, it seems your sister filed for event permits using this address. But she's not the property owner, is she?" "No, I am," Maya confirmed, her heart racing with hope. "And these permits require the property owner's signature," Amara said, holding up the document. "This signature is not yours." Maya looked at the clearly forged signature, her anger boiling over. "That's not mine." "Permit fraud," Amara said cheerfully. "Now we're talking." As Amara began making calls, Maya watched through the window as Emma directed workers to move her furniture into the garage. Their mother hovered nearby, pointing out where the wedding arch should go, right where Maya's grandmother's reading chair used to sit. "You know what? I am okay," Maya said, picking up her mail from the ground. "They think they can just take everything from me because we're family? Let's show them what real consequences look like." Amara was already typing on her tablet. "I'll have the paperwork ready by this afternoon. In the meantime, don't contact them. Let them think they've won." As they drove away, Maya caught one last glimpse of her house in the rearview mirror. Emma and their mother stood in the window, looking triumphant. They had no idea what was coming. 3 days later, Maya found herself sitting in a courtroom, her heart pounding as she faced her sister and mother across the table. The judge, a stern-looking woman with glasses perched on her nose, flipped through the file of evidence Amara had prepared. "Your sister did what?" Judge Harrison leaned forward, peering over her reading glasses at the documents Amara had presented. "Changed the locks, Your Honor," Amara replied confidently, "and as you can see from these photos, they've already begun unauthorized modifications to the property." Maya felt a rush of adrenaline as the judge held up the permit application with the forged signature. "That's not my signature," Maya confirmed, her voice steady. "I never authorized any of this." The judge turned to the city inspector who had joined them. "Mr. Peters, what are your findings?" "The planned modifications violate multiple building codes," he stated. "They've already removed load-bearing elements without permits. The property isn't zoned for events of this size, and the temporary structures they're installing pose significant safety risks." Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "The wedding arch delivery is here. You should see how amazing everything looks now that your stuffy furniture is gone." Maya showed the message to Amara, who added it to her growing file of evidence. "Your Honor," Amara continued, "my client isn't just seeking to regain access to her home. We're requesting an immediate cease and desist on all construction and event planning activities." The judge studied the documents for what felt like an eternity. Finally, she looked up. "This is one of the most egregious cases of property rights violation I've seen. Ms. Maya, have you attempted to resolve this within the family?" "They won't listen," Maya replied, her voice firm. "They think because they helped with my down payment, which I repaid in full, they have some right to take over my house." The judge signed several documents. "I'm granting the emergency injunction. All construction must stop immediately, and you'll have police escort to regain access to your property." As they left the courthouse, Lucas was waiting outside with coffee. "How'd it go?" he asked, his eyes bright with curiosity. "We won," Amara smiled, her confidence radiating. "Now comes the fun part." Maya's phone rang. It was her mother. She put it on speakers. "Maya, what's this nonsense about inspectors? They're trying to stop our contractor." "Those contractors don't have permits," Maya replied calmly. "We have permits," her mother snapped, her voice rising. "Fraudulent ones," Maya countered. "I found out about the forged signature." Silence fell on the line. "Your sister is in tears. Is that what you wanted?" their mother asked, her tone shifting to one of desperation. "What I want is my house back," Maya said firmly. "Fine," their mother's voice rose again. "Come get your precious house, but don't expect to be welcome at the wedding." "Oh, there won't be a wedding," Amara cut in smoothly. "Not at this address, anyway." "Who is this?" their mother demanded, her voice dripping with disdain. "Maya, are you with a lawyer?" "Meet my attorney," Maya said, her heart racing with a mix of fear and excitement. "She's very interested in the permit fraud." As they drove to Maya's apartment, she felt a mix of anxiety and determination. She was ready to reclaim her space and her life. When they arrived, a police car was waiting in front of her building. Officer Landon stepped out, looking serious. "Ladies," he called out, "I have a court order requiring all construction to cease immediately." Maya watched as her mother spun around, disbelief etched on her face. "We have permits," she shouted. "Fraudulent ones," Officer Landon replied, showing her the paperwork. "Everyone needs to clear the property within the hour." "But my wedding," Emma wailed, her voice cracking. "Should have gotten legal permits," Landon shrugged, his expression unyielding. Maya felt a mix of satisfaction and sadness as she watched her sister crumble on the lawn, mascara running down her face. The construction crew began packing up, grumbling about unpaid invoices. "Ready to go home?" Lucas asked quietly, placing a comforting hand on Maya's shoulder. I am, she replied, clutching the new keys the locksmith had made. As they stepped inside, Maya surveyed the chaos. Holes in the walls where they had planned to install decorative archways, scratched hardwood floors from moving furniture, and a half-demolished garden wall visible through the window. Document everything, Amara instructed, while a photographer snapped pictures of the damage. Every scratch, every unauthorized modification. Maya's phone buzzed again. It was a message from her father. Princess, your mother's having a breakdown. Can't we discuss this? Don't respond, Lucas advised, helping her sort through a pile of mail they had hidden from her. Let Amara handle all communication. The doorbell rang, and Officer Landon stepped in, looking uncomfortable. Miss Maya, your sister's outside with a moving truck. She's demanding to collect her things. Her things? Maya laughed bitterly. You mean my things that she redistributed throughout the house? I'll handle this, Amara said, heading for the door. Maya followed, curious to see how this would play out. Emma stood by a massive moving truck, mascara running down her face, flanked by Rachel and 2 other bridesmaids. I need my wedding supplies, Emma demanded, her voice shaky. Everything in there is paid for. Actually, Amara pulled out a document. According to the credit card statements my client subpoenaed, most items were charged to her home equity line of credit without her authorization. Emma's face went pale. That's not, identity theft, Amara continued pleasantly. Should we add that to the growing list of charges? You're ruining everything, Emma screamed at Maya. Mom was right. You've always been jealous of me. Maya stepped forward, her voice steady. No, Emma. You ruined everything when you decided my house and my rights meant nothing. Officer Landon intervened, trying to keep the peace. Let's keep this civil, Miss Emma. You can collect your personal belongings only. Everything else stays until ownership is legally determined. Rachel scoffed. This is ridiculous. The wedding's in 3 weeks. We have deposits with vendors, guests flying in. Not my problem, Maya replied, feeling a sense of empowerment. Maybe you shouldn't have planned a wedding at a venue you didn't have permission to use. Just then, Maya's phone buzzed again. It was an unknown number. She answered, putting it on speaker. This is Sandra from Elegant Events, a clipped voice announced. We're calling about the venue change for the McCarthy wedding. Emma lunged for Maya's phone. No, don't tell them the property is no longer available. Maya said clearly. In fact, it was never legally available. You might want to check the validity of your contracts. Emma crumpled onto the front steps, sobbing dramatically. My life is ruined. Your life? Maya gestured at her apartment. Look what you did to my home. The contractors say it'll take weeks to repair everything. We were improving it. Rachel jumped in defensively. The boring beige living room needed updating anyway. Amara cleared her throat. Officer Landon, please supervise as they collect their personal items. Anything purchased with my client's credit is to remain. As they loaded the last box, their mother's car screeched into the driveway. Stop this right now, she demanded, storming up the walkway. Josephine, you're taking this too far. Taking it too far? Maya laughed, incredulous. Like when you changed my locks? Or when you forged my signature? Or maybe when you tried to demolish my garden? We were helping, their mother insisted, her voice rising. Helping? Maya stood tall, her heart racing. Was it helping when you let Emma steal my identity? Silence fell. Even Emma stopped crying. Identity theft is a felony, Amara added helpfully. Would you like to discuss that with Officer Landon? Their mother's face went from red to white, and without another word, she grabbed Emma's arm and dragged her toward the car. As they drove away, Lucas appeared beside Maya. You okay? He asked, concern etched on his face. I will be, Maya replied. watching the moving truck follow her mother's car, taking her sister and her wedding dreams with it. "I wouldn't celebrate yet," Amara warned, checking her phone. "They've still got 3 weeks until the wedding date. People like this don't give up easily." Maya nodded, knowing she had to stay vigilant, but for the first time since this nightmare began, she felt ready for whatever came next. The morning of what was supposed to be Emma's wedding day dawned bright and clear. Maya sat at her kitchen window nursing a cup of coffee while watching the newly repaired garden wall glow in the sunrise. The chaos of the past few weeks felt like a distant memory, but the tension still lingered in the air. Suddenly, her phone buzzed with a text from Officer Landon. "Heads up, large group gathering at the end of your street. Wedding guests, I assume." Maya's heart sank as she checked her security cameras. Sure enough, a crowd of people in formal wear was clustering on the corner, looking confused. Notifications from her phone exploded as friends and family reached out, asking if everything was okay. "They're really doing this," she texted Amara, who replied almost instantly, "Already on my way, don't engage." A familiar car pulled up to her house, and her father stepped out, wearing a tuxedo. "Princess," he rang the doorbell, his expression pleading. "Can we talk?" Maya opened the door but blocked the entrance. "There's nothing to discuss. Your daughter is devastated. She couldn't find another venue, and all her guests are here," he said, shifting uncomfortably. "Can't you just—" he trailed off, searching for the right words. "Just what, Dad? Let her take over my house again?" Maya replied, her voice steady. More cars arrived, and Maya spotted Rachel directing guests toward her driveway, while their mother supervised the parking situation, acting as if nothing was wrong. "They're setting up anyway," Maya told Amara on the phone. "My parents are acting like the injunction doesn't exist." "Perfect," Amara said. "Don't stop them yet." A catering van appeared, followed by a florist's truck. Maya's heart raced as she watched Emma emerge from a car in her wedding dress, beaming at her gathering guests. "Everything's fine," their mother announced loudly. "Josephine was just being dramatic. The wedding's proceeding as planned." Maya felt a surge of anger and disbelief. "It's not happening at all," Amara announced, stepping out of her car looking like an avenging angel in her power suit. "Officer Landon," Amara said, her voice carrying across the lawn, "please inform everyone about the active injunction." Landon raised his voice, using a megaphone. "This property is under a court order prohibiting any events. Everyone needs to leave immediately." "At the wedding," someone called from the crowd. "Will need to happen elsewhere," Landon replied. "Anyone remaining on the property will be considered trespassing." Their mother pushed forward, her face flushed with anger. "You wouldn't dare have your own family arrested." "Try me," Maya said quietly, feeling a sense of empowerment wash over her. The caterers, having overheard, quickly began packing up, and the florist followed suit. Guests started whispering among themselves, some already heading back to their cars. "No, stop this," Emma screamed, breaking free from Rachel's grip. "This is my wedding day." "Not here, it's not," Amara stated firmly, holding up the court order. "Officers, please proceed with the evacuation." What followed was both satisfying and heartbreaking. The police began systematically clearing Maya's property while Emma stood in her massive white dress, mascara running down her face as her perfect day crumbled around her. Maya watched as her parents had to be practically dragged to their car by her father, who was threatening legal action the whole way. "This isn't over," their mother shouted, but Maya felt a sense of closure wash over her. "Actually, it is," Amara replied smoothly, "unless you'd like to discuss the credit fraud charges." As the last of the wedding parade disappeared around the corner, Lucas appeared beside Maya. "You okay?" he asked, concern etched on his face. "I am," she replied, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. "Now we move on to phase 2, Amara said. holding up a thick folder. The civil suit for damages. After all, someone has to pay for fixing your house. Maya nodded, feeling a sense of determination. Let's do it. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just stopping the wrong, it's making sure it can never happen again. 3 days after the wedding fiasco, Maya sat across from her family in Amara's office. The conference room felt too small for the tension filling it. $40,000? Their mother's voice rose to a pitch Maya hadn't heard since her teenage years. This is extortion. This is the cost of repairs, Amara corrected, sliding photos across the table. Structural damage to load-bearing walls, unauthorized electrical work, destroyed landscaping, and credit card fraud. Maya felt a sense of vindication as she watched her mother's face fall. We were improving the property by destroying my garden and demolishing walls without permits. Maya picked up a particularly damning photo of the electrical violations. The inspector said this could have burned down my house. We'll contest this, their mother declared, but Maya could see the doubt in her eyes. Please do, Amara smiled. I'd love to present the forged permits and credit card statements in court. Fraud charges would make fascinating headlines. Their father, who had been quietly reviewing the documents, finally spoke. We can't fight this, Nancy. What? Their mother snapped, turning on him. You're taking her side? Look at the evidence. He pushed the papers toward her. We went too far. All of us. Emma, looking shell-shocked from her failed wedding, stared at the photos. I just wanted a perfect wedding at my expense, she whispered. Maya took a deep breath, feeling a mix of empathy and frustration. You never even asked. You just assumed you could take whatever you wanted because we're family. Because that's what family does, their mother insisted. Maya stood up, her chair scraping back. No, Mom. Family respects each other's boundaries. You've taken advantage of me for too long. Amara's tone left no room for argument. Here's what's going to happen. You'll pay for all repairs and fraudulent charges. In return, we won't press criminal charges. I can't afford $40,000, Emma cried, her voice breaking. Maya pulled out her phone, showing them the screen. I found your wedding Instagram account. All those posts about your generous sponsors and vendor partnerships, they might be interested to know they were part of a fraudulent event. Emma's face went pale. How did you? Those sponsors might be interested to know, Amara continued, unless you'd prefer to use those funds to settle this matter. Silence fell in the room and their father reached for the settlement papers. Wait, their mother grabbed his arm. Josephine, please, we're your family. Exactly, Maya said quietly. You're my family, and you did this to me. I never meant to, Emma started, but her voice trailed off. I just didn't think. That's the problem, Maya replied. You never do. After they signed everything, their father stood up. Princess, I'm sorry. We should have protected you, not taken advantage of you. Their mother remained seated, clutching her designer handbag like a shield. This will change everything. It already has, Maya agreed. But maybe that's not a bad thing. As they filed out, Emma paused at the door. The vendors are letting me reschedule the wedding for next month at a proper venue this time, she said hesitantly. Would you come? Maya studied her sister, really looking at her for the first time in years. Behind the perfect makeup and designer clothes, Emma looked lost. Ask me again in a few months, Maya said, when you've proven you understand why what you did was wrong. Emma nodded slowly. I think I'm starting to. After they left, Lucas appeared with coffee. You okay? He asked, concern still in his eyes. No, Maya admitted, but she added, I will be. Amara gathered her papers. They'll test your boundaries again. People like that always do. Let them try, Maya said, thinking of her newly reinforced locks and security cameras. I'm done being the family doormat. Her phone buzzed with a text from her father. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself, even if it was against us. Maya felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this was a start. Not forgiveness, not yet, but a beginning of something new, something stronger. The doorbell rang, and this time Maya didn't dread answering it. Through the security camera, she saw Emma standing alone on her porch, holding a small box. "Can we talk?" Emma asked when Maya opened the door. Maya let her in, noting how different she looked. Simpler clothes, less makeup, none of her usual dramatic flair. "Your garden's looking nice," Emma said, glancing through the window at the newly replanted beds. "The roses are beautiful." "They're the same ones you had torn out," Maya replied, but she managed a small smile. "I saved some roots." Emma flinched but didn't argue. Instead, she handed Maya the box. Inside was Grandma's vase, or rather, pieces of it, beautifully repaired with delicate gold seams. "I found someone who specializes in kintsugi," Emma explained. "It's the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold. I thought maybe it could be symbolic." Maya lifted the vase, now webbed with delicate gold lines where it had shattered. It was different, but somehow more beautiful for having been broken. "Mom's still angry," Emma said quietly, "but Dad and I have been talking a lot about how we treat you, about boundaries, and I had my wedding last week at a proper venue. It was smaller, simpler." She pulled out her phone, showing Maya photos of a tasteful ceremony, nothing like the extravaganza she had tried to force into Maya's apartment. "It looks nice," Maya said honestly. "It was better this way." Emma put her phone away. "I wanted to thank you, actually." "For what?" Maya asked, surprised. "For stopping me, for making me face consequences. I've been seeing a therapist, and she helped me understand some things about myself, about why I always need everything to be bigger, more dramatic, more at everyone else's expense." Emma twisted her hands together, looking vulnerable. "I'm not asking for everything to go back to how it was. I know I broke your trust, but maybe we could start small. Coffee sometimes?" Just then the doorbell rang again. This time it was their father, carrying a familiar-looking box. "I found these in the attic," he said when Maya let him in. "Your old photo albums. The ones your mother relocated when Emma's pictures needed more space." Maya opened the box, finding pieces of her childhood she thought were lost forever. "You kept them?" she asked, her voice softening. "I should have given them back years ago," he said, setting another box down. "And these are the financial records. Every penny you repaid on that down payment with interest, calculations in case you ever need to prove it." "Dad?" Maya started, but he held up a hand. "Let me finish." "I failed you, Princess. I let your mother and sister walk all over you because it was easier than standing up to them. That stops now." Emma picked up one of the albums. "Oh, wow, remember this camping trip when I cried about the bugs and you built me that special tent?" "You mean when I gave up my sleeping bag so you could have extra padding and spent the night freezing?" Maya replied, a smile creeping onto her face. Emma closed the album, looking thoughtful. "I really was awful to you, wasn't I?" "You both were," Maya agreed, but she added, "You're here now, trying to make it right. That matters." Their father cleared his throat. "Your mother wants to come apologize, too. I told her she needs to work on her issues first. She's considering therapy." "Good," Maya said, feeling a sense of relief, "because I meant what I said about boundaries. You know that." Jill nodded. "That's why I brought this too." She pulled out an envelope. "It's the last of the repayment for the damages from selling my designer bags and that luxury car Dad helped me lease." Maya took the envelope, surprised. "You didn't have to sell your things." "Yes, I did. Actions have consequences, right?" Emma replied, looking sincere. Maya looked at her sister and father, surrounded by pieces of the past they were trying to rebuild. She felt something shift. Not forgiveness exactly, but possibility. "Anyone want coffee?" Maya asked, a smile breaking through. "I still make it better than that overpriced place you love." "Yes, please," Emma smiled back, her eyes lighting up. "Oh, and I have news," Emma added, her excitement bubbling over. "I'm going back to school for interior design. Properly this time, not just Pinterest boards and magazine clippings." "Really?" Maya asked, genuinely impressed. "Yeah, and I promise never to redesign your house again unless you specifically ask," Emma said, her tone playful. Their father picked up the kintsugi vase, examining the gold seams. "Sometimes broken things come back stronger," he said thoughtfully. "And sometimes," Maya added, "they come back different. But that's okay too." As Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Lucas, she looked at her sister, flipping through old photos, her father carefully holding Grandma's repaired vase, and the garden visible through the window, blooming again despite everything. "Yes," she typed back to Lucas. "We're not fixed, but we're working on it, the right way this time." Sometimes the happy ending isn't about everything being perfect. It's about building something new from the broken pieces, seams of gold making it stronger for the breaking. And this time they were all doing the work to build it right.